So today I'm going to show how you can polish gemstones at home quite easily. Now, I'm certainly no gemstone expert. These are just some gemstones, not even sure what sort they are, but they're ones that we fossicked from a creek somewhere nearby. And here's one that I polished up. It originally looked kind of like this. And yeah, I polished it to something like this without too much effort. So what I've got here to do the polishing is just a cheap diamond knife sharpening hone. So this is the sort of thing, I think I bought this one from Aldi. It cost about $10–15, and it's just got different grade grits on there. So 200, 300, 400 and 600. So I'll show you how we did that. So I'll demonstrate with this one. So I've already done one side here. I'm going to do this side. Now this side here isn't particularly flat, but it's probably the flattest interesting surface there, so I'm going to start with that one. But yeah, it actually doesn't take too much effort. So what we need is the diamond hone, some water, because you want to do this wet, and then you just need to basically start out with the coarsest grit, which in this case is 200, and just start grinding away. As you can see here, that's already starting to flatten out a little bit. This one will take a bit of effort, but yeah, we'll just keep going. Let's have a look at that. It's getting a bit better. What you want to do is, using the coarsest grit, get the surface flat, and then once it's flat, then you can start polishing with the smaller particle sizes or higher grit numbers. Oops. Sorry, my microphone fell off then. So it's quite important at this stage to try and keep it as flat as possible whilst you're rubbing it on the diamond stone. Otherwise you might get like, it might not be entirely flat. You might get some other sort of angled surfaces, which isn't the end of the world. Just means that you can't get that nice sort of flat surface. Like for example, on this one, on this side, how do I catch the light? You can see that this bit here is angled. Now that's angled just because of the shape of this one. I just couldn't get the entire thing flat. But if you're not careful, to hold it straight, you can get a couple of different sort of angled surfaces. So that's coming along. Need to go down a bit more just to get some of these, to get it a bit flatter. But as you can see, it doesn't take too much time and effort with a 200 grit diamond hone. It's pretty good. closer there. Nearly got that central one out. Yep, very close there now. So you'll notice I'm moving it this way. I find it easier to keep it stable when you've got like a larger bearing surface against the thing, as opposed to if I was moving it this way, you've got a smaller bearing surface across the gem's face, which makes it a bit harder to, I suppose, keep it steady. Look at that now. I'll take that down a little bit more. That's pretty good. I might just go a little bit more. So there we go. It's interesting in this, you can see a bit of an opaque ball in the middle. I'd imagine there's some crystal growth in there, which probably what I really should do with this one is make some slices, but I'm yet to figure out exactly how to do that without specialist equipment, so maybe that'll be another video. But yeah, look, I think that's probably good enough for this purpose. So what we might do is now we'll start going to the finer grits. So I'm on 200 and I'll change it over to 300. Let's make sure I give it some fresh water to wash off in case there's any 200 grit particles stuck on the surface there. And we just repeat. Now this is about just going up in particle sizes to smooth out the scratches from each one, so it doesn't take too much. Alright, so that's probably done, so we'll move up to the next particle size again. So this is now 400 grit. And I'll go up to 600 grit now. Okay, there we go at 600 grit. Now, just dry this off and we'll have a look. Now looking at there, that's, once it's dried off, it's still got quite a satin finish. So it's not perfect, and to get to a finish like this, what I did was I then got wet and dry paper. So 1200 and then 1500 grit wet and dry paper. I would have gone 800 first, but I just didn't happen to have any at the time I did this one. One thing, you can see some little scratches there in this one. What that came from was I just put the wet and dry down on just a stainless steel benchtop surface, and I think there were some little particles underneath it which caused these scratches. So what I'd recommend is if you can get like a piece of glass or some nice clean flat surface and put your wet and dry paper on top of that. But look, you know, we've been going for about 11 minutes now, and you can see I've gone from, you know, what was a rough surface like this to a nice clean flat polished surface that, you know, give it another 5 minutes with some wet and dry paper and you'll end up with kind of a, you know, a slightly mirrored finish like we've got on this one. So I thought that was pretty cool because you know, this is something I can do at home for about $10 or $15, and yeah, I can, you know, turn something that is pretty rough like this into, you know, something that actually looks quite nice. And you know, that's something that I found in a creek and turned it into that. So I always thought that you needed specialized equipment like you know, diamond cutting saws and special, you know, diamond plates to put on a you know, on a sander or something like that, and yeah, special wet sanding type lapidary machines, which obviously those things I'm sure are fantastic and do make a big difference. But I thought it was cool that, you know, just with some cheap equipment you can buy from a hardware store or Aldi when it's knife sharpening season, you can actually do this stuff at home. Now, one of the things that you do need to realize is there are some limitations. Like this one here started out as sort of a flat piece that I was able to grind down, whereas, you know, if it was a much rounder piece, I'd probably need to section it with some sort of a diamond saw. And like I said, with this one, probably what I need to do is slice it down the middle to get into that center bit, which will reveal some crystals. But, you know, still, it allows us to do, you know, if you get the right piece, you can dress it up and make it a bit nicer in your home quite easily. So right, well that's it. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you next time.